Okay, so thank you. So before we get underway, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. I've introduced the Darebin staff members that we have here tonight. Can I just get a brief introduction around the room? So Kate, I'll go to you first and your interest that you have in domestic animals.
Sure thing. So I'm the president of Friends of Edwards Lake. So we have a vested interest in terms of domestic animal management in regards to wildlife. So we'll probably have some pretty extensive feedback on this. So it's really great to see where you guys are heading, what deadlines we need to get things back to you about, and etc.
Sure thing. Thanks, Kate. And Kathleen.
Yes, I'm the founder of Save Darebin Pets. I've been working for about 9 years now to make Darebin a no-kill community, and I've been extensively involved in rehoming, finding foster carers for Darebin animals who are on the kill list. That was under the Lost Dogs Home. However, since the RSPCA took over, very few animals have been made available to rescue groups. But I've been on the community reference group since it was established, and I'm interested in seeing more evidence-based solutions implemented in animal management.
Thanks, Kathleen.
That is the implementation of.
You muted yourself.
Programs that are based on working in partnership with the community rather than focusing on, fines and so on, punitive measures.
Thanks, Kathleen. In regards to housekeeping tonight, we're a very small group, so I don't anticipate this to be of any concern. But obviously, people have different views in relation to animal management and different passions surrounding animals. So just ensuring that we are respectful to one another within the meeting tonight. Sorry, the light's gone off here; it's a little bit dark, but please raise your hand if you have a question, or being a small group, I've got no issues if you want to just visually put your hand up at any time, and if you want to put a question in the chat, you're certainly more than welcome to. I'll do a presentation now and share my screen just on a bit about the domestic animal management plan. If you can let me know when that's come up.
Yep, all good, Matt.
Thanks, Narelle. So as mentioned, the domestic animal management plan, it is a 4-year plan. It's something that's required legislatively by every city council, that always goes for a 4-year period. It's typically done on a template that's released by Agriculture Victoria, and contains a certain amount of areas that must be included in the template. We've added to a few of them this year to include areas like wellbeing and also biodiversity, such as protecting obviously our native flora and fauna, which would probably very much fit into your area, Kate. In terms of what it generally does, the domestic animal management plan isn't about creating huge capital project allocations for things like new fenced-in dog parks or anything like that. It's very much about responsible pet ownership. I won't read out every dot point item here, so please go through them and take your time to read them. But very much about addressing the overpopulation of cats. I mentioned about protecting local flora and fauna. Providing support to vulnerable people. Animals can very much be companion animals and very helpful in the space of wellbeing, and particularly in vulnerable communities. So Kathleen, you mentioned obviously about rehoming of animals. They play a very important role in that space of being companion animals. And we spoke about working with Moreland and Whittlesea City Council. They've been our partner councils throughout this, and fostering much stronger relationships with those city councils. Why do something individually as a council when we can work together across councils and get consistency in how we apply? The synergies between particularly Moreland City Council and Darebin City Council in regards to size, demographic, what we have in the municipality is very, very similar. Whittlesea obviously a little bit different, having a very large industrial sector. Obviously once you get out to the city of Whittlesea township itself, it's very much rural with areas of livestock and so forth. So a little bit different to the other two city councils. But as we well know, we have a shared pound facility out in Cooper Street in Epping. And obviously Whittlesea are very much a player in that, being essentially the majority owner of that facility. In regards to preparation for what's become the draft plan that we're now out to public exhibition for, community consultation was done by an external provider throughout March and April in 2021. A difficult time to do face-to-face consultation with obviously the global pandemic that's going on. But what we did is hold pop-up sessions in High Street, Preston, one at All Nations Park, and the other one was in Edward Street Reservoir. So we really got a spread of the municipality in terms of the south, the north and the central areas. We received more than 3,000 pieces of feedback across the 3 municipalities. So it was great to see a great vested interest in domestic animals. I mentioned about the pop-ups, and obviously the feedback informed what would be 3 individual plans, but also had very much consistencies between the 3 city councils. In terms of our animals in the city of Darebin, we've got 16,000 plus registered cats and dogs. I believe, Michael, you may want to correct me on this, but I think about 10,000 are dogs and about 6,000 are cats, somewhere around those numbers. We have 10 domestic animal businesses, 39 off-leash and 70 on-leash parks, so plenty of open space for our dogs to exercise. We have a cat curfew, which it was introduced at the start of this year in terms of evaluating how successful it is, or any enforcement surrounding that. Obviously been, again, quite difficult with the COVID space that we find ourselves in. And as I mentioned before, our pound services are run out at the Epping Animal Welfare Facility. So looking at some of the highlights coming out of the, I'll call it the DAMP, which is obviously the acronym for Domestic Animal Management Plan. So one of the key things is a program to promote and encourage responsible pet ownership, and obviously be compliant with the legislation that we're bound under through the Domestic Animals Act. So we also spoke about working with vulnerable communities. Obviously, again, financial constraints that they're coming out of COVID. So we're looking at exploring further discounts for pet owners, which isn't just at registration time when you hear that pensioners have a discount or similar to that, what it might be, but also looking at potential desexing programs, as we know, in terms of having sustainable cat populations and so forth, having particularly some of our lower socioeconomic communities having access to animal desexing is very, very important, and making sure it's easy for them to get to areas where they can do animal desexing as well. Often people in lower socioeconomic areas cannot travel to vets with their pets, which is obviously as restrictive as the cost itself. I spoke about our partnership with Moreland and Whittlesea City Council. In terms of pet ownership campaigns, it's not just about getting registered dogs and cats. It's more about having responsible pet ownership and making sure that people are doing the right thing with their cats and dogs. It's probably also worth noting that this plan is not just limited to cats and dogs as well, but again, the majority will be on our broader number of animals that we have in the municipality. The creation of an off-leash dog policy. So that's something that we need to put into place and strengthen so that our animal management officers can not only do reactive enforcement, but also proactive education out when they're on the beat. And establishing partnerships with dog training organisations. So looking at programs to address the overpopulation rates and high euthanasia rates and nuisance. Sorry, I got a croaky voice. So there's a few things that I'll let you go through there, which is and please have a read of them. So I've spoken about low cost desexing initiatives, but also very much looking at nuisance animals, which again isn't just limited to nuisances such as barking dogs. It also is much through our proactive work in looking at expanding our rescue organisation partnerships, which is one of the questions that you had earlier, Kathleen. Provision of new bins in parks. So we talk about, again, biodiversity, coming back to your area, Kate, where we don't want dog droppings to end up in our waterways and so forth. So having more bags, more bins, everything in parks, so people can pick up after their dog and put it in a nearby bin, because essentially the more bins there are, the more likely they are to pick it up and put it in there if they don't have to carry it around. Unfortunately, some of the more negative things we have to do in animal management is our dog attacks and our dangerous and menacing of restricted breeds. It's never the nicest work that Michael's team has to do with some of the things he has to see. But what we have noticed during COVID is as more people are out doing their daily exercise, it means more dogs in parks at the same time. Not all dogs are as social as one another, and there has been an increase in dog attacks, dog rushes on people and so forth that has seen Michael's team have to do a lot of work around. There's a couple of policies in there that we need to review, including our destruction of dangerous dogs policy. Again, partnership with Moreland and Whittlesea City Council in making sure that we're consistent with how we declare dogs, and certain education around dog behaviour and how to report it as well. What we find is a lot of incidents don't actually go reported to council, and if they're not reported, then generally we don't know about them.
Samantha McKernan's waiting to be let in.
Is there anyone in the... No?
No one?
I'm here. I got let in. I'm good.
Oh, good.
Biodiversity. So this is one of our new areas of the domestic animal management plan. Obviously working with some of our more sensitive areas. We spoke about Edwards Park Lake, particularly our Darebin Parklands, our Merry Creek Trail, around those areas, making sure that, you know, we know more about the registration of animals, not having off-leash areas directly next to very highly sensitive areas. You know, we all hear about dogs that, you know, get in and attack bird life and swans and so forth, and we don't want that happening. Plus, you look at erosion and things like that, the more dogs that trample, you know, creek beds and so forth, the worse it is for our waterways. So looking at protecting our native parklands that we've got. We're looking at doing more proactive patrols. So Michael's team, particularly during COVID, have been out, I shouldn't say enforced, but out on patrol, speaking with dog owners, making sure that there's a presence, being open and engaging to people that want to ask questions. And we're going to have more meet your ranger days where people will know where the rangers are going to be. And if you want to go and see their vans, what they do, how they operate, it's something that Michael and his team will very much be open to doing on a regular basis throughout the life cycle of this new dam plan. Stray cat trapping. So as we know, cat trapping plays a critical role in not only the benefit to local wildlife, but also the benefit of getting the cat, you know, potentially desexed into a loving home where it should be. And obviously reducing the amount of community cats that go and visit back doors and continually get fed, but may not actually have a registered owner. And I think I spoke about the responsible pet ownership in regards to dog waste. I've already touched on that, but obviously keeping cats indoors during curfew hours with a big education campaign around that. Again, to another one of our new areas of the dam plan is community wellbeing, being an inclusive and welcoming service. We understand that we have Darebin and Moreland are very diverse municipalities, and the requirement to have information available in multiple languages. I spoke very early in the meeting about supporting people in hardship and having things like companion animals, and also an audit of all forms to ensure they're inclusive. Often the wording that comes out of legislation, something like that, for people that have language other than English spoken at home, it can be quite difficult for them. So we want to be more engaging with our community and making sure that information is very much accessible and it can be understood by the community. Continuous improvement. So looking at the Epping Animal Welfare Facility, so some of the concerns that we've had out there, particularly around how birds are kept out there. We haven't been able to take birds to the Epping Animal Welfare Facility. So one of the things in the dam plan is considering installation of bird housing and also some dog run yards, so that dogs can be properly exercised out there. and I spoke very early on, before you jumped on, Kate, I was speaking to Kathleen, just about reviewing our rescue, foster and volunteer programs, and striking up what are known as 84Y agreements, in terms of making sure that we rehome as all treatable animals, and the only animals that unfortunately have to be euthanized are those that are not treatable, such as being feral, medical, such as being hit by a car, or if they're legally required to be because they've been involved in a dog attack. Before I go out to questions, we did have 2 questions come in. One I will take offline with you, Kathleen, as we spoke about earlier, is it does relate to contractual specifications with the animal welfare facility, which are commercial in confidence. But there was another fine, which I will hand over to Michael to answer, and it relates to how many fines have been issued for the following offences in the last 24 months. 1, not picking after your dog. 2, off lead. 3, not carrying a poo bag. And 4, cats being out during curfew hours.
There you go. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. I'm pleased to say that actually we've issued 0 fines during these periods. What our main focus has been about is education and providing the ability to let people know, what the right things are to do. My officers actually have been in the first year of COVID, due to restrictions, we weren't really allowed to go out as much as what we would have liked to. But then in the second year of COVID, thankfully we were allowed to go out, and one of our key focuses has been engaging within the parks. So what I've done is I've collated a couple of bits and pieces of statistics, just so that you are aware of how busy we have been. And through both last year and this year, again, it's not been about issuing infringements. We understand that people are doing it extremely tough out there. To issue infringements would just be counterproductive to what we feel is probably a golden opportunity for us to engage with people, explain to them, like for example, what their dog behaviours are doing, how it's impacting on others, what other resources are out there make available for them. So the team have been heavily involved in all of that. So in the 2020 period, we had approximately, excuse me while I look down and read my notes, 209 dog attacks for the entire year. 3 of those dog attacks were of such a serious nature, we had to take those to court. Of those, all 3 dogs, by the way, were not put down. They either had some form of declaration, whether it's a dangerous dog or menacing dog declaration, but we didn't seek for any of those dogs to be destroyed. 8 dogs were also declared as menacing within the community. In 2021, year to date, as of today's date, we've had a total of 160 dog attacks recorded within the municipality. 2 thus far have been taken to court. We're still pending results on those 2 matters because they're active, and 4 dogs have been declared menacing within the municipality. The officers themselves have conducted, on average, 300 park patrol per month. So there are 5 officers, including myself. We work a 7-day roster, and that 300 visits is what we've conducted throughout the off-lead parks within the municipality, and not only that, but also engaging with the community whilst we're out there. The main thing, as Matt said, when we do encounter or see somebody doing the wrong thing, we engage with the person, we scan their animal, we offer them an opportunity to understand why we need to have that animal on lead, especially if it is in an on-lead park. And everybody that we've cautioned, my officers carry on-body cameras. Those encounters are recorded. Their dog information is also recorded. If we encounter that person a second time, we've advised them that unfortunately we would then need to issue them with an infringement. Thankfully, to date, we've not had a second offender. So that for us is an absolute win. It means that our engagement process that we've undertaken is actually working extremely well for us. and it's obviously the word is getting around that, you know, that's how they're supposed to, that's how people are supposed to be engaging. The only thing that we haven't been able to do this time, as we have in the past year, is that normally during daylight savings, my officers actually work till 7 o'clock at night. Unfortunately, with the COVID restrictions and officer safety, we've decided this year not to do the late finishes. But hopefully, as time progresses and people start to become a bit more used to the new processes that we have to follow these days, that may change. That's pretty much it for me at this point in time. But if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thanks, Michael. Over to either Kate, Kathleen, or Samantha, is it? Sorry, it's only coming up as iPhone as your name. If you've got any questions for us regarding the DAMP, if you want anything clarified, yeah, please feel free to ask questions, or otherwise you're welcome to contact myself or Narelle or Michael at any time during the consultation period. It is open until the 23rd of November, so another 13 days. For any submissions to come through, submissions can be online, or if you want to do a direct email submission, you're more than welcome to. We will be doing another in-person engagement at a dog park at Chris Park in Reservoir, which is just near the Reservoir Junior Football Club.
Perfect. I will send you a consultation on behalf of, there's quite a number of us. So I guess my question is, do you want it individually, or would you like it as a package? It'll come from all the friends groups, other land care groups, the whole lot of wildlife rescuers that will be feeding into it as well. So we've got a pretty united thought. So I'm wondering whether we just give it to you in one package rather than separate entities.
If you're happy to collate them for us,
yeah, absolutely.
that would be much appreciated, Kate, particularly if you're all united with your views on the direction that the DAM plan is taking. That would be great. And would be much appreciated by Narelle and I, who have to go through all the consultation responses.
Yep, perfect. I will do that.
Kate, I have a question. Are you aware of the consultation that's currently going on about the redevelopment of a off-lead park at Edwards Park
I have
Lake?
sent quite a large package through to Darebin Parks about that. Yes, we're very aware of that.
Okay.
And we have made, I've actually redrawn the park.
Okay. Good.
So it is off lead, and Michael and to any other officer, I would invite you down to the park when you want to. I'm happy to meet you at any time.
Sure.
We do. It's really great that you're having some success stories. We're not at this present moment in time. We have huge amounts of wildlife being killed by off-lead dogs, as well as cats that all through the wetlands that prey on smaller creatures. And then, to be honest with you, the majority of them don't make it.
Mm-hmm.
And we are seeing decline, particularly in smaller mammals, which is quite heartbreaking considering when you're out there. Our entire vision is we want to rewild Edgar's Creek as far as people will let us. So it's very disheartening when you're planting and you're encouraging things that are small, like sugar gliders and possums and things like that, and then you've got all the neighbourhood cats hanging out in the wetlands, going, what's for dessert? And I would love them to be in loving homes, and that's probably what we need to work together on getting to, because we can't continue with this biodiversity loss, because without these creatures, we're all in trouble as earthlings. So I would invite you down. We also have huge issues with people not picking up after their dogs.
Mm-hmm.
My volunteers pick up a huge amount of dogs droppings, huge amounts. And we'd be happy to advise about bin locations. We've actually got trial bins through the wetlands at the moment that we've purchased ourselves and we empty to try and prevent people throwing them in garden beds, because it's really counterproductive when you're spending 5 to 10 minutes fishing one bag out. It's much easier to empty a bin. So I'm really happy to work in with you guys, and we're on the ground every night for at least 2 hours. If it's not myself, it'll be another volunteer. So we do have some great insight into what happens, particularly after hours as well, when you guys aren't there.
Understood. Yep. I've just sent you my mobile number.
Perfect.
So yeah, please reach out when you can.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thanks, Kate. One of the actions in year 1 of the plan is to do a review across the municipality for what was known as targeted actions. The initial intention of that was to more look at areas that are languages other than English, where we need different comms, or our lower socioeconomic areas of East Preston and East Reservoir, and doing some cat desexing focus out in those areas. But I guess it could be expanded to looking at where we might do education drives around the cat curfew. And if we've got those, sensitive areas such as Edgar's Creek that does run right through the middle of the municipality, as opposed to Merry and Darebin Creeks that are on our east and western edge, then obviously that could be incorporated as part of that action in year 1.
So Friends of Merry Creek will feed into this, as will Friends of Darebin Creek, so we'll be able to capture data from there as well. I've also got Wildlife Victoria pulling numbers together about cat attack and dog incidents involving wildlife. So there'll be some really good stats that I'll be able to give you as well as there's a whole lot of really dedicated wildlife carers throughout Darebin. So they'll be able to give you their stats as well. But I hate to say it, but the cat curfew is really unsuccessful at this present moment in time. And the majority of cats that are in the wetlands, it's normally someone's treasured pet that I can quite easily call over, look at their tag and go, okay, here's your phone number, type it into my phone, ring the owner and say, hello, your cat's down at the wetlands eating frogs. Where can I drop it? And I walk the cat home. And then within a week, the cat is back at the wetlands at 9 o'clock at night hunting frogs. So it's, as I said, it's pretty disheartening, particularly when we're about to embark on a big project for the growling grass frog, which is an endangered species. The Victorian government were in the running to get a very big grant, and it'll be pretty disheartening if we build this habitat that turns into a cat fishing pond, essentially. So all of these things we can work together to create harmony between all of the different needs for the community would be utopia.
No worries. Thanks, Kate. Obviously look forward to your united response from the multiple organisations that we'll put together for that. Are there any other questions, Kathleen, Samantha?
No, I don't have any further questions.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Nothing from me.
Thanks, Samantha. That brings us to the conclusion of our presentation tonight. It was quite a small group, but yeah, thanks to everyone that's attended. And yeah, we look forward to any submissions you wish to make by the 23rd of November. From there, obviously Narelle, Michael and I, we collate the responses and finalise the domestic animal management plan, in which we would take it up to council for adoption. The aim of that is to be on the 20th of December at this stage, before submission to the state. In the event that we are unable to make that 20th of December deadline, there isn't a council meeting in January, so it would have to go through in February. But certainly, provided everything goes well, we'll have it in by Christmas time. But yeah, thanks again for your attendance tonight, and enjoy the rest of your evenings.
Oh, one other thing. Where are you going to post this recording somewhere?
Yeah, we will. We'll get it out to all attendees, and
Perfect.
we'll also we'll put it on our Darebin Animals page as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No worries.
It will also be on our Your Say page.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your evenings. Bye.